Ada yang ter-remove daripada meeting ke? Sebab ada yang bukan live, dia ter-remove. So nanti you join balik eh.
Week berapa tadi, madam? Dekat ikam.
Sekejap, saya tak ingat lah, dia topik yang carrying capacity.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so sekarang ni saya nak buka slide. But before that, let me okay, can you see the slide?
Boleh?
Boleh eh?
Boleh.
Okay, in case in between of my presentation, saya left daripada group, someone text saya sebab saya takut mungkin line problem ke.
Okay, madam. Boleh.
Okay, now dalam e-campus, dalam e-learning week 7 carrying capacity, saya dah masukkan I think 2 videos related to carrying capacity. But cumanya in term of slide, saya tak masukkan because I need to adjust few things. Tapi saya akan masukkan after maybe by this week lah, right? So basically, saya tak check lagi performance in e-campus. I hope that there is a improvement in term of your performance in engaging in e-campus, right? Just to let you know that we only have 4 topics saja untuk cover for online punya classes. So this week basically we will discuss on the carrying capacity in recreation. The best thing is there is no tutorial or quiz for this week. I give you a rest for 1 week. So let me settle your quiz 1, quiz 2 and tutorial first. Next week we start your quiz 3 and also for your tutorial, right? Is it okay? Can you clearly my instruction and my voice?
Clear.
Alright. So do we need to discuss further on carrying capacity, or do you have any questions related to these topics? I cannot read your chatting, but you just simply voice out and I will answer your questions.
Doktor terangkan lebih lah pasal carrying capacity ni.
Alright, but let me ask you, all of you, are you watching the video? Have you watched the video? And have you read all the articles? I think there are 2 articles in eCampus.
Doktor, yang artikel 1 tu kita orang tak boleh buka. Sebab tu di situ playback on other website have been disabled by the video owner.
I think article 1 tu dia duduk together with video 1. You tak boleh buka
Ha.
Okay, let me check further. Okay, without further ado, let me discuss on the carrying capacity in recreation. So basically, I think I will cover maybe after Hari Raya. We will discuss again back to from chapter 1 up to chapter 5, right? But for a meantime, we will discuss. There are 3 topics: carrying capacity, sustainable recreation, as well as the current issue in recreation. We will end our online class by 20, I think if I'm not mistaken, on 25th of June. So we will have a 1 week holiday for Hari Raya. So there is no class on that week. We will start our online class a week after Hari Raya. Right? So this week and we will cover on the carrying capacity. Next week we will cover on the sustainable recreation. Okay? So basically, there are 3 main topics in this chapter. Okay, what is the concept of carrying capacity? What is the best practice for the sustainable recreation, and how we can carry an approach for the outdoor activities, right? So basically, when we talk about carrying capacity, ataupun dalam bahasa Melayu kita panggil capacity, keupayaan capacity, right? Carrying capacity, keupayaan capacity. Miller 2005 defined carrying capacity as the numbers of individual of a given species that can be sustained. Maksudnya, when we talk about carrying capacity, it must be related to the numbers of tourists, the numbers of customers, the numbers of individual in that particular area. Okay, maksudnya kalau space tu besar, so there must be a limit of numbers for tourists or customers to get into that area. Okay, itu general definition of carrying capacity. However, Hovinen 1982 defined carrying capacity as a maximum numbers of visitors that can accommodate without causing excessive environment. Maksudnya, Hovinen define ni, dia kata numbers yang diletakkan as carrying capacity for sesuatu persekitaran ataupun sesuatu kawasan tu, dia mesti tidak melibatkan atau tidak memberi impact atau tidak memberi negatif punya kesan kepada tempat tersebut dengan kehadiran visitors. Okay, maksudnya let's say lah, when we talk about UNESCO, right? UNESCO areas, kalau di Malaysia ni di Legong, di mana lagi, di Melaka, di Penang, there are few numbers of visitors attraction that has been declared as a heritage punya site. So any of the UNESCO punya area, there has been come up with their own policies or procedures for the carrying capacity. So bila diletakkan numbers of visitors ni, orang yang boleh masuk ke suatu kawasan tu must be limited to that numbers of tourists. Or else kalau dia lebih daripada numbers tu, dia akan menyebabkan satu customers akan reduce the customers punya satisfaction, maksudnya dengan crowded area, so customers doesn't have that satisfaction to visit that area. Yang kedua, dia akan bagi negative impact kepada kawasan tersebut. Mungkin in reality the areas, the lands, the areas, the environment can be sustained up to 100 years, for example. But when we didn't allow, or when we allow for the numbers of tourists, the maximum numbers of tourists, they will give an impact to the environment of that particular area. Okay, so this is what we call it as a carrying capacity. Okay, then the rest, Matheson and Wall also propose the definition sama. Okay, basically definition of carrying capacity ni adalah the maximum numbers. We didn't go for the minimum, but we go for the maximum numbers of visitors ataupun tourists. Okay, so I think this definition by Krashin, Brown, Van Takesh and Vida ni dia lebih spesifik and lebih komprehensif lah. Alright, so basically dia define ini in term of community capacity. Okay, tadi kita talk about carrying capacity, now we talk about community capacity. So what is the difference between carrying capacity and community capacity? So community capacity ni adalah interaksi antara human capital, organizational resources and social capital yang exist, yang wujud dalam sesuatu kawasan yang boleh sama ada memberikan masalah ataupun meningkatkan kesejahteraan bagi sesuatu komuniti. Okay, up to this topic, can you can you get my point? Do you understand?
Madam, slide tak bergerak.
Slide tak bergerak? Sekarang ni slide mana yang you ada? Yang dekat screen?
First cover topik.
Oh ya. Yeah. Tapi you tak cakap daripada tadi. So masa daripada tadi tu masih lagi slide nombor 1. Okay, sekejap. Ada lagi yang baru masuk, sekejap. Sekarang ni dekat skrin you nampak slide saya ke atau nampak skrin skrin
Nampak slide.
nampak slide. Tapi still slide 1 eh.
Tak, dah pergi dekat
Dah gerak
5. Slide.
Okay. So sekarang ni slide kelima eh.
Ya.
Sekejap, ada lagi yang baru masuk ni. Okay, sekarang ni slide kelima eh. Okay, now you nampak yang slide ke-6?
Nampak?
Okay. Right, jadi yang slide yang ke-6 ni adalah slide community capacity yang saya explain tadi. Okay. Alright, in between of my presentation, you can simply disturb and you can ask any questions. Alright. We go very quickly. Saya just brief on a few part yang I think need a further discussion. Then the rest nanti you can go by your own reading. Right. Right. Now we go to the 4 elements in carrying capacity. Can you see the next slide?
Yes. Boleh.
Alright. Okay, now there are 4 elements in carrying capacity. Satu adalah physical, ecological, facility and social. Right? So this is one by one dia punya explanation. So first is physical carrying capacity. When we talk about physical, it must be related to the units or the physical part of any products or any locations. Okay, so physical carrying capacity is concerned with the maximum numbers of use unit. Use unit ni meaning that either people, tourists, vehicles, boats and etc. Right, that can be physically accommodate within an area. Meaning that physical carrying capacity ni bila you ada satu kawasan, let's say lah kalau kita sebut pasal UNESCO for example, right? So the area, the total area of UNESCO punya site tu dia mesti ada the numbers of even the numbers of vehicle, the numbers of car, the numbers of any types of transportation yang masuk ke dalam area tu mesti dia letakkan the numbers of maximum. Okay, the maximum numbers of transportation tu. Sebab bila any transportation, any vehicle yang masuk ke dalam kawasan tu, dia akan memberikan kesan kepada especially on the land and the areas. Okay, so this is where we talk about physical carrying capacity. In fact, physical carrying capacity also related with the apa kita panggil the physical development of that area. How many building have been developed, alright? How many, I mean, what is the facilities and everything. So this is where we talk about physical carrying capacity, right? Number 2 is ecological carrying capacity, sometimes also referred to as physical, biophysical or environmental capacity. So ecological ni is a maximum level of recreational use in terms of numbers and activities that can be accommodated. Maksudnya ecological carrying capacity ni dia sama konsep macam ecotourism, right? Cuma ecotourism is pelancongan eco, suatu one types of tourism punya produk. However, untuk ecological carrying capacity ni, we set the maximum level, tahap yang paling tertinggi dalam penggunaan rekreasi. Sama ada aktiviti dia ke, produk yang ditawarkan dia ke, yang boleh accommodate, yang boleh disediakan oleh kawasan tersebut. Contohnya kalau kita kata taman negara, alright? So, national park, every national park di Malaysia, they have their own numbers of visitors basically. However, it's based on the management punya policy. Either they really follow that SOP ataupun standard operating procedure, ataupun they just go beyond than that. So kalau dia follow the carrying capacities policy that has been set by national national park, so dia akan setkan, okay, for example, at one time only 100 tourists can be allowed to have any activities at national park. At the same time, there is only a few activities that can be engaged with the tourists at one time. So this is where ecological carrying capacity blend in recreation activity. So bila you tak buat numbers of activities, the limit numbers of activity, contohnya you bawa masuk sampai 200 orang tourist at one time buat jungle trekking, and at the same time juga ada numbers of group pula masuk buat buat aktiviti flying fox for example. So this is where banyak aktiviti di satu kawasan tu akan merosakkan persekitaran hutan ataupun persekitaran recreation punya area tu. Okay, so this is where we put as ecological carrying capacity. Okay, next we go for the facility. You can see my slide. Boleh nampak slide saya?
Boleh.
Okay. Alright, ada lagi yang baru masuk. Okay, next we go for the facility carrying capacity, involve the types and amount of facility intended to support visitors' need. Okay, facilities ni pula adalah in term of kemudahan lah, facility yang disediakan. Contoh, I talk about national park lah. So every national park di Malaysia, they have their own a list of facility provided for the tourists. Okay, contohnya macam parking lot, boat ramps, administrative. Sebab tu bila kalau you pergi dekat every national park di Malaysia, Taman Negara Pahang, Taman Negara Endau Rompin, Taman Negara Penang for example, they have their own management punya policy, but basically they have to follow what we call it National Ecotourism punya guideline. Okay, National Ecotourism guideline ni has been developed in 1995. but now they already revised National Eco Park 2006 up to 2025, right? So all the national park they have to follow this guideline. So basically untuk facility carrying capacity ni, bila dia nak buka suatu kawasan, they have to apply or they have to declare what are the facilities provided for tourists. Dia tak boleh terlalu banyak, which bila terlalu banyak dia akan menyebabkan kawasan tersebut crowded dan dia tidak memberi kepuasan kepada turis itu sendiri. Okay. So the next is social carrying capacity. Social carrying capacity ni dia lebih kepada perceptual or psychological or behavioral capacity. Maksudnya interaksi antara turis dengan kawasan tersebut, turis dengan aktiviti tersebut dan turis dengan natural resources tersebut. Okay, maksudnya bila adanya interaksi yang terlalu rapat, maybe dia akan memberikan kesan negatif kepada natural resources. Jadi bila you as a management, for example, management team management of any tourism or recreation area, you have to put some distant context between tourists and natural resources. But towards the end, bila terlalu ramai orang masuk ke sesuatu kawasan, at the same time terlalu banyak facility provided for the tourists, and at the same time there are a lot of activities provided for the tourists, towards the end yang akan jadi yang akan memberi kesan adalah kepada sumber kesedaran tersebut. Kalau macam Taman Negara sekarang ni, Taman Negara Pahang antara yang paling terjejas lah. Dia punya what we call it, hutan dia dah banyak ditarah for the sake of tourism recreation punya activity. Alright, so banyak kawasan dibangunkan chalet, resort, sehingga kan habitat haiwan telah pun terganggu dan digugat oleh aktiviti pembangunan manusia sendiri. Okay. So itu adalah 4 elemen berkaitan dengan carrying capacity. Okay, so basically in general when we talk about carrying capacity ni, you kena tengok daripada semua sudut. Okay, either dari sudut the numbers of tourists yang masuk, ataupun dari sudut pembangunan tempat tu sendiri, ataupun dari sudut interaksi sesama antara manusia dengan natural resources tu sendiri.
Doktor memang hilang ke?
You tak nampak slide
Baru ada.
Okay. Right. So again, this is 4 elements in carrying capacity: physical, ecological, facility, and social. Do you have any questions? Definitely no, right? So we continue. If you have any question, then leave a message, then I will read through your chatting. But let me check if we have any questions. Okay, so now we have 83 students registered, and let me check attendance first. You tak boleh masuk attendance ke? Kenapa tak ada orang log in lagi attendance?
Kita orang dah letak situ dah submit attendance.
Dekat e-campus?
Nah, ada.
Dah? Kenapa? Kejap. Kenapa dekat saya punya screen ni kosong, tak ada attendance? You ambil attendance yang topik 7 kan? Carrying capacity kan?
Yep.
Sekejap saya check attendance sekejap. Sebab dekat saya punya ni kosong attendance. Okay, baru ada. So sekarang ni ada few lagi yang belum log in. So 10 o'clock saya akan close attendance, okay? So please bear with me until end of this session. Okay, Now we continue for next topic, components in carrying capacity. Saya rasa komponen dengan elements tadi lebih kurang lah. Nanti you boleh baca detail. Okay, can you see my slide on the limitation for carrying capacity?
Dapat tengok.
Yeah. Alright. So there are 4 factors that will limit for the implementation of carrying capacity. Okay. The first is it's very difficult to establish a single objective defined number that can be used as a carrying capacity. So maksudnya on paper, it's easy for you to capture or to set the numbers of capacity. Contohlah macam UNESCO area di Malaysia, for example. If you delimit the numbers of hundreds tourists at one time, tiba-tiba during weekend or school holiday, there are more than 100 tourists yang datang untuk melawat satu kawasan, right? So meaning that kalau kita set hundreds tourists at one time, so meaning that kalau ada 200 orang datang pun, you have to allow only 100 tourists at one time. So bila dia dah keluar, let's say you have to limit for 30 minutes per group. So after 30 minutes, then you have to get them out from that area. Then you can allow the next group to come into that area. But this is where we see the limitation, where it's very difficult basically. We can simply put on paper the numbers of carrying capacity, but in terms of implementation is very difficult. Alright. Number 2, the point at which deterioration in the social or ecological environment occurred was not easily measured. Yang ini we talk about persekitaran ataupun kemusnahan ataupun kerosakan yang berlaku di sesuatu kawasan tu sukar untuk diukur. As I mentioned before, macam di Taman Negara lah, Taman Negara Bahang for example, di Jerantuk, right? So kalau siapa yang pernah pergi Taman Negara, now they I think started 10 years ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Kalau you perasan di walk pathway dipanggil ataupun jungle trekking punya activity, now they develop kita panggil a permanent walkway. Dia letakkan macam dengan jalan tar batu ataupun apa ya, dia punya tu dia buat macam dengan jalan tar lah, which the main objective adalah untuk mengurangkan kerosakan ataupun mendapan tanah pada tanah. Bila terlalu ramai orang buat jungle trekking dekat Taman Negara for example, every day when people put their feet on the ground, dia akan merosakkan tanah ataupun persekitaran Taman Negara. So therefore they come up with a new alternative, which dia buat satu pathway, a permanent walkway, right, which dia bangunkan macam bentuk simen lah, jalan yang permanent. But basically in term of ecological, dia akan merosakkan sebenarnya. Sebabnya tidak ada pertumbuhan tanah dan persekitaran yang boleh berlaku disebabkan dia telah pun bangunkan permanent punya jalan menggunakan simen tu tadi. Okay, so when we talk about carrying capacity, you have to look into a different perspective. Bila you pergi ke satu kawasan rekreasi, satu kawasan pelancongan, you kena tengok. Kalau normally turis ni dia lebih prefer natural resources tau. Maksudnya bila natural resources ni, bila you letakkan dia jadi sesuatu benda yang permanent, macam jalan berturap tadi tu, dia sebenarnya mengurangkan kepuasan seseorang individu. Okay, because bila kita pergi ke natural resources, the main objective is to see the real of or the virgin of the forest. Tapi bila dia put something which limit the social contact between tourist dengan natural resources, itu yang menyebabkan dia jadi macam level of satisfaction tourist akan merosot. Okay. Number 3, dia kata there was no consistent relationship between the numbers of people using an outdoor environment and they influence positive or negative. Maksudnya dia tidak ada hubungan yang konsisten, hubungan yang tetap antara bilangan orang yang menggunakan ataupun outdoor environment yang involve, yang engage dengan outdoor activity terhadap kesan sama ada negatif ataupun positif. Maksudnya setengah orang akan kata dia maybe there are a relationship. Maksudnya lebih ramai orang masuk ke suatu tempat, lebih tinggi negatif impact pada suatu kawasan. So the limitation is there is no consistent relationship. Maybe sesetengah tempat dia tak jadi macam tu. Setengah tempat dia akan jadi perhaps the high numbers of people will give a high numbers of satisfaction to the tourists. Okay, so ini yang dikatakan the third limitation. And the last limitation is much of the adverse impact caused by a specific numbers of users was not the result of too much, rather a combination of other factors relating to behavior of users. Maksudnya, kebanyakan tempat, when we talk about carrying capacity, dia bukan disebabkan oleh terlalu ramai orang datang ke satu kawasan, tapi disebabkan oleh attitude, oleh behavior turis tu sendiri. Contohnya bila you pergi buat jungle trekking dekat Taman Negara, kalau you just berjalan melihat keindahan alam, keindahan flora, fauna, dia tak akan merosakkan. Tapi bila tangan you memetik pokok, tangan you merosakkan pokok, kaki you merosakkan tanah, itu yang menyebabkan berlakunya kerosakan alam semula jadi. Okay?
Doktor screen ke lah?
Tak.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright. So ini yang dikatakan limitation for the carrying capacity. Okay. So basically limitation for carrying capacity ni dia we can simply say that it is important to have a good attitude, or people have their own awareness, a high level of awareness and high level of knowledge will bring a positive impact to recreation activity. So, dalam bidang tourism ni, bila kita cakap pasal carrying capacity, keupayaan capacity ni adalah suatu benda yang sebenarnya benda yang penting untuk kita, sama ada kita adalah management ataupun industry player ataupun kita as a tourist. Kalau when we put ourselves as a tourist, sebenarnya kita boleh membantu kerajaan, kita boleh membantu pengurusan suatu kawasan pelancongan tu dengan menjaga attitude, dengan menjaga behavior kita dan dengan menjaga kita punya social contact kita, dan dengan cara tu kita boleh membantu persekitaran kita untuk lebih terjaga dan terpelihara, conserve and preserve the area. However, if we put ourselves as a management ataupun industry player, the best thing is to apply the carrying capacity adalah you have to be very strict and you have to comply all the SOP yang dah has been set either by the government or by the management punya policy. For example, kalau you set 100 people at one time, so you have to follow that policy. You tak boleh nak kata, kalau kita tak follow, kita akan rugi. Maksudnya you think on the profit more than the conservation and preservation. So this is where banyak kawasan pelancongan di Malaysia lost ataupun kita panggil fail to prevent and to conserve area because of they think more on profit rather than preservation. Okay, so this is where carrying capacity is very important in tourism industry, right? Okay, next is the criteria. Criteria ni it must be related with the element. So there are, I think, 5 criteria, not 5, 7. Okay, so criteria yang pertama adalah in term of physical yang boleh affect carrying capacity, ecological macam saya cakap, wildlife resources, economic, the numbers of investment, volume of tourists. Okay, number 4 is a culture attraction at that area, Number 5 is a social contact, visitors punya choice. Number 6, availability of resources and infrastructure. And the last one is administrative and political factors. Okay, so there are 5 criteria basically that affects the carrying capacity punya implementation di sesuatu kawasan. Okay, now we finish on the first topic of the carrying capacity. So further discussion or further reading, you can watch the video. So because I think that video give you more the clear view of the carrying capacity punya implementation. But however, is maybe dia hanya can be applied in a certain area of recreation tourism area. Okay, but basically the general view of the carrying capacity is there. Okay, in that video. So you can go further watch the video to get yourself understands on the carrying capacity punya topic. Right? So can I move to the next topic, best practice for sustainable recreation? Can you see my slide?
Boleh.
Okay. Alright. Now, carrying capacity dengan sustainable recreation ni, dia sebenarnya is quite related lah. Okay, carrying capacity adalah keupayaan kapasiti. Sustainable recreation adalah kelestarian rekreasi. Okay, what is sustainable? Maksudnya sustainable ni adalah bagaimana you nak make sure that sesuatu kawasan sesuatu kawasan ataupun persekitaran for recreation or tourism area ni can be sustained for the long period of time, right? Kelestarian kemampanan dia terjaga pada satu tempoh yang panjang. Itu yang kita panggil sustainable recreation. Dalam bidang tourism, we not only talk about sustainable recreation, tapi kita juga bercakap pasal sustainable development, kelestarian pembangunan, sustainable tourism, kelestarian pelancongan, sustainable rural tourism, kelestarian kawasan luar bandar. Okay, so as a tourism punya students, you have to get yourself understand when we talk about sustainable, the main point is how to make sure that every areas or every product or every environment can be sustained, okay, for the next generation especially. So in our course, we only focus on how to make sure that our recreation area or ecological area or tourism area ni can be sustained for the long period. Okay, so this is a few best practice that I get from internet as well as from the website that can be shared, right? If you go for the management training, for example, after this, most likely you will involve in recreation punya activity. Contoh kalau you pergi ke kawasan yang taman negara lah, as I mentioned just now. So this is where you can share with your management about the sustainable recreation. Bagaimana you nak jaga, you nak conserve and preserve the recreation ataupun the tourism area. Okay, so carrying capacity tadi dengan sustainable ni dia quite related. Kalau you tak apply carrying capacity, you cannot apply for the sustainable recreation ataupun you tak boleh nak sustain you punya kawasan recreation punya area. Okay, so this is very important to have a proper procedure for the carrying capacity in or to make sure that you can sustain your tourism area. Okay, so first, sustainable recreation is the activities that contribute to the enjoyment and health of the participant and to the economy of the host area. Maksudnya in between of you are sustaining the recreation area, at the same time juga you boleh contribute kepada enjoyment, kepuasan dan kesihatan individu. At the same time juga you boleh enhance the economic of the community. Okay, bukan saja you conserve and preserve, tapi you juga boleh memberi ke economic punya impact kepada local community. Okay, So, kenapa sustainable recreation ni penting? Okay, why sustainable recreation is important? First is to provide a diverse range of quality natural and cultural resources. Sustainable recreation ni ataupun sustainable ni, it also relate with the green practice lah. When we talk about green practice, this is where is part of the sustainable punya approach or sustainable punya procedure. Okay, so yang kedua adalah dia protect the natural, cultural. Okay, yang ketiga is a partner with public and private recreation. Okay, maksudnya dia lebih kepada perkongsian antara satu pihak itu dengan kawasan yang kita provide. Okay. Alright. Okay, so ini ada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, ada 9 best practice yang saya listkan dalam slide ni. Saya pergi very quickly, nanti you boleh go and read by your own. Okay, yang pertama adalah restore and adapt recreation setting. Maksudnya restore ni kita masukkan balik ataupun through integrated research, analysis, planning and quality design, it will restore. Dia boleh pulihkan balik recreation setting. So the best practice untuk sustainable adalah sentiasa adakan research, analysis and planning. So bila you buat sesuatu atau you set up sesuatu kawasan pelancongan, make sure that dalam polisi you, dalam pelaksanaan you ataupun pengurusan sesuatu kawasan rekreasi, you kena sentiasa adakan research, planning, analysis. Okay, to make sure that you boleh kembalikan balik apa yang telah hilang ataupun apa yang telah rosak. Restore ni macam you punya laptop lah. Bila document you delete, you can restore back your document. Okay, sama juga dengan konsep sustainable recreation. Okay, number 2 is you have to implement the green operation. As I mentioned, all the green practice must be implemented in order to sustain recreation punya area. Okay, number 3, you have to enhance the community. Enhance the community meaning that you have to make sure that community surrounding your area, you must to get them understand and aware on the implementation of sustainable punya practice. Okay, kalau you as a management punya team je yang bersungguh nak conserve and preserve, but the community surrounding you doesn't support your activity or your practice, dia tak akan membantu you untuk kembalikan ataupun untuk make sure that your area will be sustained for a long period of time. Okay, so make sure that bila when we talk about enhanced community ni, through dia punya knowledge, through dia punya awareness as well as through dia punya behaviour, right? Okay, you boleh tengok, you boleh nampak slide saya? Alright. Next we go for the number 4. Invest in special places. It will make strategic investment and leverage existing and future external partnership. Maksudnya yang dekat sini untuk you apply sustainable recreation, you kena invest, you kena laburkan pada kawasan yang betul. Alright, either you get your partnership tu orang yang mampu menilai sesuatu kawasan tu sama ada bernilai ataupun dia akan memberikan impact pada masa yang akan datang. Okay, number 4, you have to forge for the strategic partnership. For strategic partnership ni maksudnya you kena provide recreational experience, service activities and environmental education for youth and adult. For partnership ni not just investor, not just you punya rakan partnership you, tapi dia juga melibatkan the whole structure of you punya kawasan. Okay, maksudnya bila you buat activity, it must give back the experience and satisfaction to the tourists. Okay, number 6, you can promote for citizen stewardship. Okay, it will cultivate the energy, enthusiasm and skill of private and non-profit sectors partners. Which you promote citizen stewardship ni, you kena ada a group of peoples ataupun volunteer lah, alright, which dia akan sentiasa untuk bantu you promote ke arah kelestarian sesuatu kawasan. Kalau management trainee saja yang ataupun management team saja yang work for that approach, at the end of the day you yang akan resign dan you yang akan give up. Okay, so make sure that you have to have a couple or a group of volunteer yang akan provide service untuk sentiasa promote ke arah sustainable recreation. And number 7 is to provide the right information either through all the media's platforms. Number 8 is a financial foundation. Financial foundation must be related with the appropriate funds through expanded capacity. Maksudnya in order untuk you promote, conserve, preserve, and in order for you to get all the facilities in a good condition, so you have to have a foundation to support your punya approach, right? And I think the last one is to develop the workforce. Develop the workforce meaning that you have to make sure that community, local community surrounding you, you punya staff, you punya people surrounding you, they have to work together. They have to make sure that you have to get the same objective, you have to achieve the same KPI. They understands on what is the objective of sustainable and they know what to do to achieve the sustainable recreation. Okay, so this is a 9th approach on the 9 practice for sustainable recreation. Okay, I think a couple of years, this is a few, there are one question in the final exam related to the best practice in sustainable recreation. Okay, but you don't have to explain all 6 or all 9s. Okay, you just choose maybe 4 out of 9 or 5 out of 9 best practice for the sustainable recreation. Right? So, okay, the last topic is the best practice, what and why. Yang ni pun, okay, the one key component in the sustainable equation is the practice of best known methods of operating. Okay, best known methods in operating ni adalah is a high level of enjoyment that can be achieved but only a minimal impact to the coastal resources or environment occurs. This is what we call it as a best practice. Okay, maksudnya when we talk about best practice ni, apa-apalah yang menyebabkan best practice ni, dia mestilah berkait dengan bagaimana you menyediakan sesuatu aktiviti, you menyediakan sesuatu kawasan, tapi dia memberi tahap kepuasan yang tinggi kepada pelancong, but at the same time dia mengurangkan kesan kepada persekitaran. Itu kita panggil best practice. Okay, again, dia memberi tahap kepuasan yang tinggi kepada pelancong, tetapi dia mengurangkan kesan negatif kepada lokasi tu. Itu yang kita panggil best practice. Jadi best practice yang diamalkan di Malaysia ni, dia lebih kepada pembentukan guideline. Okay, bila guideline you betul, bila SOP you betul, maka pelaksanaan sesuatu perkara, sesuatu best practice tu barulah dapat dijalankan dengan clear, dengan jelas. Okay, so itu yang kita panggil dia as a best practice. So untuk benefits of implementing best practice ni, satunya dia akan produce immediate, tangible and beneficial result. Maksudnya dia boleh mewujudkan kesan yang serta-merta, tangible, benda yang dapat diukur dan keputusan yang memberikan benefits. Okay, so untuk best practice for tourism and recreational operation will not only benefit the environment but also lead to better business for all operators. Maksudnya in this case, kalau saya repeat again in term of national punya national park, taman negara di Malaysia. Kalau you betul-betul tengok ataupun you betul-betul study on the impact of national forest di Malaysia, Kalau dia implement the best practice, carrying capacity, basically you akan conserve and preserve all the areas and environment. Okay, tapi bila you think much on the profit, you akan you akan mengundang kepada apa kita panggil kesan yang lebih negatif, yang lebih besar kepada persekitaran itu sendiri. Okay, sebab tu kalau boleh bila you study ataupun you buat what we call it, you either you go for internship tu ataupun you memang ada buat kajian for recreation ataupun tourism area, make sure that you put element of best practice and carrying capacity ni dalam you punya prosedur, supaya you boleh faham konsep tourism ni dia bukan fokus on profit semata-mata, tapi kita adalah penggerak kepada pemeliharaan dan pemuliharaan kawasan, conservation and preservation di area. Okay, itu yang kita tekankan sangat dalam carrying capacity and sustainable recreation. Okay, to that extent, any questions about recreation, carrying capacity and recreation? Ada 86 orang. Okay, so far okay lah. Last week 50 lebih. This week 80 lebih. Alright.
Doktor, tanya berkaitan dengan kuis hari tu, ada perbezaan pendapat orang berkaitan dengan yang betul yang adventures tourism activities tu kan, dia sama ke dengan yang recreational pursuit tu? Classification of recreational pursuit tu. Tak dengan yang adventures tourism activities, land based, water based dengan aviation related tu.
Tak, yang recreational pursuit tu adalah yang ada tiga kriteria tu. Intermediate, natural resources, and satu lagi tu ada 3 benda. Itu recreational pursuit.
So maksudnya kalau yang recreational pursuit tu memang yang ambil yang 3 tu kan, bukan yang 3 pasal water based. Tak. Bukan. Yang adventure tourism, outdoor recreation outdoor recreation tu is another part. This is another topics. Okay, thank you Doktor.
Right. Okay, so the last topic ni, saya rasa pun yang ni boleh baca, cuba saya nak touch sikit je. Tadi kita discuss general carrying capacity and sustainable recreation kan. Sekarang ni saya nak tunjukkan the specific view of the adventure punya, outdoor adventure punya activity. You tahu there are a lot of activity rekreasi di Malaysia, okay, sama ada air, udara, darat, semua, and most likely adventure activity di Malaysia, even di dunia ni, dia akan melibatkan natural resources. Okay, so carrying capacity dalam outdoor activity ni, dia must be related with the maximum number of livestock that could be pastured without noticeable deterioration. Maksudnya you kena ingat sampai bila-bila pun bila you involve in outdoor activity ni, you kena ada part of carrying capacity tu. Okay, the limited numbers of tourist yang masuk ke suatu kawasan untuk mengelakkan kemusnahan ataupun kerosakan alam. Okay, sebab tu word carrying capacity sustainable recreation ni always put in your mind. Okay, sebab dia akan sentiasa diulang ataupun dia akan jadi satu isu yang sentiasa berkait at every single of time untuk kita nak make sure that tourism activity ataupun tourism area ni sentiasa terpelihara. Okay, so tu benda yang paling penting. Alright, the rest yang dalam ni adalah lebih kepada planning requirement lah. Yang ni kalau this topic ni you boleh jadikan dia rujukan in term of kalau you go for macam saya cakap lah internship, management planning, management training, which this is the idea untuk make sure that sustainable recreation ataupun carrying capacity can be adapt. Okay, so dia ada few step yang dia suggest dalam pelaksanaan carrying capacity ni. Okay, yang ni you boleh pergi tengok direct daripada slide 30 sampai slide 40. Right, so yang ini nanti you boleh baca sendirilah. So basically I think that's all for our topic based on the slide, but I really hope that you can watch that video which dia akan bagi you lebih pemahaman tentang topik ni. And in fact you boleh juga baca artikel tu, nanti saya akan check balik artikel tu, yang artikel 1 je kan yang tak boleh buka kan, artikel 2 tu you boleh baca kan?
Boleh. Artikel 1 tu dia.
Alright, so nanti saya akan check artikel 1 dan saya akan upload balik lah. Nanti lepas by this week saya akan touch up slide ni and then nanti saya akan masukkan dalam e-campus. Right? So basically at the moment ada 82 orang yang dalam Google Meet, dan make sure that yang mana ni you ada 4 minit lagi untuk self recorded attendance dalam e-campus. Okay, sebab pukul 10 sekejap lagi saya dah tutup attendance. So make sure that siapa yang hadir untuk meeting Google Classroom, you masukkan dalam e-campus. Okay, last word before we end our session today. Any questions? Any question je, not just related to this topic or assignment ke tutorial ke. Nanti saya akan keluarkan list nama yang jawab tutorial. Okay, so make sure that untuk tutorial tu saya memang tak boleh nak buka dah sebab saya dah bagi I think more enough time untuk you jawab. So those who are not submit you punya tutorial, consider no submission lah. Alright?
Doktor dah decide kita punya online ke IT?
Tak clear lah, decide apa?
Final.
Okay. Final confirm through online. Okay. Question ni saya akan buat dia lebih kepada open question lah, macam yang tutorial. Maksudnya there is no right or wrong answer, as long as nanti saya akan beritahu lah antara few topics ataupun apa kita panggil types of question tu lah. Okay, cumanya saya dah beritahu last week kan, saya dah reducekan final exam tu become 30% je. Jadi mungkin dia dalam final exam dia tetap 100 markah, cuma it will be converted into 30% je. Jadi another 10% tu saya cover untuk tutorial dengan quiz.
Okay.
Nanti after hari raya nanti kita akan go discuss on the final exam. Okay, any question lagi?
Doktor nak tanya pasal assignment.
Alright.
Kan yang assignment teknologi yang innovation tu,
Okay.
kan dia kena buat suggestion kan? Dia suggestion macam mana?
Okay, suggestion tu maybe okay, innovation tu you don't have to come up with your own product, right? So So you just Google get one product or one innovation. For example lah, you jumpa satu innovation dalam pemasangan kemah, for example, for recreation activity. Jadi you discuss on what types of kemah yang dia innovate, yang dia bangunkan. In suggestion, you can based on their suggestion or based on your suggestion tu ataupun based on your understanding, you might be suggest that okay, this product can be used for what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can suggest to our government, for example, if let's say lah that product tu, innovation tu come from overseas punya company ataupun overseas punya community ke, then you would like to suggest to our government. So this is where the suggestions come in. Okay, they depends on the products.
Okay.
Right, any question lagi?
Madam,
Yep.
kalau suggestion tu kita buat untuk macam improvement produk tu,
Boleh.
boleh?
Pun boleh. So anything, any sebab saya tak nak go specific, is based on you punya product lah, is you punya project. So you suggest based on you punya project.
Okay, thank you madam.
Lain ada lagi? Okay, cuma saya nak tanya you, starting from last 2 weeks, we started our online class. For this course lah, especially untuk kelas rekreasi ni, have you clear or ada tak confusing in term of delivery of the information daripada saya kepada you all? Is it clear ataupun you rasa confused?
Setakat ni clear.
As I mentioned, saya cuma akan share all the content and content through eCampus, but informations tu saya akan gunakan Google Classroom. So dua platform ni je. Right, so I think you will get the notification kan bila saya upload apa-apa dalam eCampus, right?
Ya.
Dapat.
Saya tak nak buat dia jadi confused. Jadi apa-apa maklumat saya akan salurkan dalam Google Classroom, dan apa-apa dokumen saya akan upload dalam eCampus. Okay, itu saja. So before we end our session, I think it's clear, but you can leave your message at any time. Group assignment post. Yes, all the group assignment, individual assignment, submit dalam Google Classroom. You boleh tengok Google Classroom punya link ni dekat screen.
Tak boleh, gelap.
Tak boleh? Alamak. Okay, tak apalah. Nanti you check dekat Google Classroom. Saya memang dah masukkan folder. So make sure you masukkan assignment dekat folder yang betul. Okay, otherwise saya takkan dapat you punya report. And make sure semua group assignment tu you letakkan nama ahli kumpulan dan nombor metrik yang betul. Okay, saya takut nanti nama dekat list saya lain, nama dekat you punya assignment you lain. Okay. So, kalau tak ada apa-apa, I think that's all for this week. Thank you very much for giving your...
Assalamualaikum Doktor, lagi soalan.
Ya.
Ada yang bertanya pasal quiz 2 hari tu yang jam.
Okay, pasal quiz 2 tu macam ni. Since I think there are, I'm not sure whether the issue of the eCampus ataupun the setting itself. Jadi saya dah keluarkan list yang submit quiz tu. I think ada lebih kurang dalam tak lebih lah 15 orang, maybe dalam 10 orang je yang tak submit quiz tu. But saya akan check dia punya reports dalam eCampus. If let's say that you jawab quiz tu, cuma you tak tekan submit, saya consider you submit that quiz. Tapi kalau saya check you tak submit apa-apa dalam quiz tu, so saya consider you memang tak menjawab soalan tu. You tak menjawab quiz. Okay, because I already give you 2 times untuk you resubmit, tapi you tak jawab apa-apa. Because there are apa kita panggil tu setting dekat dalam tu memang that show either you answer the question ataupun tak. Okay, but don't worry, untuk quiz 2 tu saya akan recheck balik dalam eCampus. Okay, yang intensif tutorial je saya belum keluarkan list nama lagi sebab saya belum habis check one by one. So that's why this week saya tak buat quiz. I give you a rest for this week. Sementara saya menyiapkan untuk quiz 1, quiz 2 dengan tutorial. So next week baru kita akan saya akan bagi you tutorial yang baru. Is it okay? So kalau tak ada apa-apa, I think that's all for this week. Again, stay safe, stay at home. Selamat berpuasa. Please leave a message if you have any questions. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Salam.